for attending today's meeting. We'll start with a roll call. Rick?
Rick Smith, member.
Mike Capel, member.
Rob Wilson, alternate.
Nancy Knight, alternate.
Bill Spence, member.
Morgan Dean, member.
John Racine, member.
Margaret Turner, alternate.
Rich Rita, select board ex officio.
Alan Burko, alternate.
Hello. He's there.
I am here.
No, he's hiding behind the scenery.
Ah,
I see.
here you come.
Trust me, you don't want to see this. There we go.
Oh, no. Well, talk about not wanting to see. I visited my dermatologist recently. And although it looks like I've been in a bar fight, he,
Hockey fight.
in a hockey fight, he went at me with his canister of liquid nitrogen to freeze what he called precancerous.
Yeah, precancerous lesion.
Yeah. So out they go, and I'll be better next meeting.
No wonder you've been kind of cranky lately.
Yeah. No, it's those nasty sun damaged cells. Okay, today we're going to talk about the action plan, as a part of the master plan. And what I would propose is that we go through these, because there's so many of them, go through these articles quickly and identify the ones that we can talk about further and assign, that is, if somebody wants to volunteer to do something about it. But some of them are ongoing, some of them have already been done, some of them are we would rely upon other people to take action on them. So,
Bill.
yeah.
So do we want to just,
What was that noise?
We are certainly feeling the warm embraces that. So we wanted to show some love. You, fun fact about Orlando. Just
Somebody,
this month,
Okay.
oh, somebody named MP. All right,
now,
good
Bill,
enough. Okay, go ahead, Rick.
I mean,
Rob.
before we start that, do we want to like kind of, box it in a bit? Like, how many are we thinking of doing? Or however we do it. Are we looking for 3? Are we looking for 10? Kind of what's the parameters for,
All right.
as we go through it?
That's precisely what I was trying to address, that there are
Okay.
so many of these. That there are only, say, a few that we could identify as a board to say. We'd like to take some action on this now. And that there may be some people who have a specific interest who would like to volunteer to take the next step. And there are several in here that are, dependent upon other people, dependent on departments, dependent on staff.
Yeah.
And that it wouldn't be in our best interest to try to attack them. And some of them we've done, and some of them are ongoing and don't need any special attention from us. What I'm looking for in this meeting is to see whether there are items here that we should be paying attention to and doing it immediately.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
what you
no,
mean?
sounds good, yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Just so we don't bite off more than we could.
Point of
Yeah,
order.
exactly right. We get 3, 5 items out of the list of, I don't know what, 30 that we could pay attention to.
Mr. Chair.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Point of order, I think
Rich.
you need to seat alternates.
you're quite right. I meant to do that, and that there's Margaret, would you
Yes.
thank you. So now we have 7 voting members around the table. I count 6 plus Margaret.
3,
Who should be seated?
5.
She needs to be seated for a particular member.
To be seated for.
Four, who's not here.
Catherine, no, who's missing?
1,
That's
2, 3,
that
4,
Catherine. We need to
6,
say it, so it's in the minutes.
7. I thought we.
Catherine's not here.
Catherine,
Right.
yes. So I would ask Margaret to replace Vice Chair Catherine Brennan. And that's what should appear in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, very well. Thank you. Let us proceed. No other comments. Rick.
Box it in a little bit.
Yes.
and Again, I'll probably jump it in.
No, this is the purpose of the meeting.
So we have the SE group that it's gonna come back, you know, with some recommendations. That I would argue are probably gonna be a pretty high priority for us, because it's gonna have an eye towards a few things that are coming at us pretty quickly, given the
Yeah.
announcement this past week.
Yes.
And, I would think maybe those are a pretty high priority for us. The other thing is, we're gonna have some work to do, I think, I'm not sure exactly how much, but the legislation that's coming from the State House will require us to take some action. I'm not exactly sure on all of them, because I think we probably already addressed some of the issues, like the half-acre lot thing, maybe one other one, so.
Yes, it's going to be, that is, the legislation will simply mandate that we alter some of the ordinances.
Yeah. Maybe not a heck of a lot of work, but I just want us to make sure we save whatever we decide in here from a priority perspective. I think a lot of it's probably gonna be in line with what SE Group comes back with,
Yes,
but we should save some space, I guess, and not get too aggressive with this.
I agree. But my point then, well, the reason that we agreed to have this meeting is I didn't want to ignore it. And that, one thing that I've discovered in my experiences is that plans, that is, at the corporation, we made these 5-year plans. And what did we do with them? They put them on the shelf and they gathered dust. And, you know, that's a waste of time and energy, etc. So we did this master plan, which is 2022. And it's still a relevant document, but unless we address the action plan from time to time, it will become a dust gathering document and cease to be relevant. So it's a matter of updating it. Rich,
I think the overall plan, we set it, last meeting. When SE Group told us they were gonna conduct a review of the master plan and our zoning ordinance, and, they would make their presentation at our July meeting. And I think that would spark our conversation, to provide them input while they're doing their review, with regard at least to the master plan. I think we said we try to get something to them as early as possible in this process that they are doing, and that they are going to give us a report on, sorry for that, at our July meeting. So, yeah, we do have to be cognizant of the other things that are coming our way in the fall, zoning amendments. But I think we should at least, if we don't necessarily select things to do, we can prioritize things. Like, so when they say,
Right.
look, these are our priorities, this is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. What do you guys think? Some may just stand right at it as, yes, we gotta do this. So I would focus on each subsection of chapter 8, like 8.1, 8.2, just go down. The planning board is the primary responsible party, and prioritize things. Just select the ones we think we need to, that have our name attached to it. Select those out and then just prioritize them. Put them all together and then prioritize them, and then see if there's any we want to tackle before SE Group provides us their input at our July meeting.
yeah, and also make our, you know, that part of the reason why we're doing this is to make any comments that we have for the SA Group more relevant. That is, when I'm looking through this, when I was reading it, I think, you know, I'd forgotten about them. There's so many of them, and I had not a strong recollection that we had even put so many items in the action plan. So I think it's just plain a good review. Let us begin.
Look,
Okay. Huh?
nothing.
Hello?
I have a question. Off topic,
I couldn't think it.
off topic,
They do have a question. Yeah.
off topic. Anybody that listened to the Tuesday meeting or read the stuff from the Forest Service, they're having meetings with the resort, I guess all of which are over at the Forest Service. All right, which I don't know, we're gonna be away for that time anyway. Would it help us at all, considering how some of this is going to go through town property? Of all the stuff that they're talking about doing. To have Tim and or somebody else come over here and actually talk to us about what the hell they're doing? I'm just asking the question because
Well,
they're talking
okay,
about a pretty,
we might
right over
encounter,
you.
Right.
we might encounter that as we go through this list.
Okay, I'm just, you know,
And-
it's a pretty significant. Perhaps change the tenor of the town.
Right, and I've been looking at Rick from time to time with respect to understanding more about the White Mountain National Forest and asking Rick to keep us as up to date as he can be. So when we get to it, it's in here somewhere. I remember reading it, and we'll then address it. But I
Chair?
think we'd,
God, who the hell hit you?
huh?
You really look bad.
Well, you should see the other guy.
Just follow up on that question. The Forest Service will be here at our select board meeting on the 4th of June
Yeah,
at 3 p.m.
I'm be aware.
So if anyone
Okay,
wants to
sounds
come.
good. You know, if we don't start, we will never finish.
Yes.
Okay, continue to engage the community. I think, you know, we're pretty good at that. And new issues emerge in the future utilizing the master goal. Okay. Does anybody have a shortcut to any of this that as you have been reading them?
Just roll through.
You just roll, okay.
Yeah.
Explore examples from other recreation for. I think the general, we've been doing it. Continue to participate in regional planning through membership in North Country Council. Ta-da! We are.
Yay.
I'm going, did we not, going back to 813?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
We have an ongoing thing with that?
with the AARP? Yeah,
Don't we have an ongoing?
I think we do.
I think we do.
But in my recollection of that is that they talked about it at the town core meeting, town core group.
sorry, we shuffled it off that way.
We did, and then they were trying to figure out what the benefits were versus the drawbacks, if it's, and I don't remember what they determined, but maybe I think they determined they weren't gonna go forward with it at this time.
We
That's
should
my,
put an asterisk by it to talk to Kathy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think I think Morgan is correct.
Yeah, I think
I look at it.
just verify with Kathy, but
Right, verify with Kat, and then decide if we want to pursue that further.
okay. Madam
So we should
Secretary, are you
select that
taking
out.
notes?
Answer.
Very good.
So 813, we should select out
813.
8.1.3.
Very well. And I have some notes that I made myself. All right, so we made it past 813.
Well, yeah,
We're on the
we're
first,
moving right along.
we are. Actively use the master plan as a guide to town activities. I think we're okay there.
For that one though, it says hold a meeting of municipal boards annually to celebrate progress and prioritize next steps. We haven't done that.
No, we should
I feel like that would
pluck
be
that
a
out.
good thing.
Yeah,
Okay, backtrack and say,
813.
hold a meeting of municipal boards annually
Celebrate.
to celebrate, oh yeah.
Why not?
Progress and prioritize next steps. Okay, that's something we can do.
Mr.
We can set up
Marquez.
a meeting with other boards such as the select board or
Conservation Commission.
Conservation Commission,
Two other
have
land use boards.
everybody in the room to,
How about department heads as well?
yeah, we'll bring.
Yeah.
I would recommend that meeting be September, October timeframe as we start our next year budget.
Oh, good. I'll go away then too.
That's, you can review the past year, what you
Yes.
do, and in this case, it'll be the past 3 years. And then what are we looking to do in 2026?
okay, and it could identify what the priorities are,
Mhm.
what other organizations, including staff, have planned for the next year.
Well, we
Right,
should
okay,
have
that would
prepare
be-
for the meeting,
That would be valid.
right?
The ex officio members may want to take that back to their board so that they look at the master plan as well
Fair enough.
for what they're
For the meeting,
responsible
right.
for.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. John,
does everybody have a copy of this master plan? Not just 8.1, but the whole thing?
It's
Does everybody have a copy?
It's online.
It's online.
it's
online.
So anybody.
I don't like online. I like,
Well,
paper.
Yeah.
does anybody need a copy? You're okay, everyone's okay.
Would
Okay,
you like
that's
me
what I'm
to
using.
printer?
I have a comment.
153 pages.
Yes, well, that's why I bring this binder to every meeting.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Okay. Turning the page. Partnerships,
We're not on this page.
big pardon?
I said, we're not on 8.2, 1 through 4.
We are not the responsible party. for
I
it.
agree. So I don't think we need to spend time addressing it.
Good.
Yep.
Correct. Okay, 8.2. Waterville Valley Resort,
Mhm.
and we're making every effort to do that. To continue to work cooperatively with the Waterville Valley Resort and the forest and other landowners toward well-integrated recreation experiences. Okay, I think
Connectivity. Operative word.
agreed. And I don't think there's anything that we're not doing or that we need to do.
Agreed.
Okay, moving on. Support the Waterville Valley Resort's effort to implement their master plan and to develop, including expansion of the White Mountain National Forest lease area. I mean, it's not exactly our business, but we do support the effort and provide input to advocate
Right,
for
so-
opportunities to improve alignment.
I think it's everybody's business.
I think that's, yeah, okay, it's everybody's business. However, it's not something that we can individually attack.
I'm not sure I agree with you, my friend,
Okay, tell me what you think.
because my question here is what the Terrell and the resort are going to do in their plan could significantly change the entire tenure of the town.
Yeah. What are we going to do about it?
We're gonna provide input, as it says, as needed.
So we need to know.
I think we're covered.
We have to know I mean. Yeah, I mean, you know, if they're gonna tear down the current thing and build an aqua park and all the rest of that stuff. That's kind of over there. We have to be very aware,
Yeah, but I
as
think
does the select board.
Yeah, I mean, there are specific things later on that address that. I mean, I think I agree with Mike. We're not the responsible party here, but we should
Know what's going
definitely
on.
know what's going on, and the public comment period that the Forest Service has opened up on what is the EIS on the
Goes to the middle of June.
it goes to the middle of June, so we can comment on that if we want to.
And where do we find, what's the EI stand for?
Environmental
Environmental
impact
impact study.
statement.
And where do we find
Study,
that?
study, excuse me, yes, thank you, Rick.
If you have Tim's email address,
It's they sent out an email.
I got the email. That didn't go to everybody.
I think it was on, if you signed up for the watervillevalley.com.
Yeah, if you go to watervillevalley.com
I think-
website, that actually on every page in the upper right-hand corner, hit a button, and it's actually fairly
Easy.
detailed.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, the impact
And
study,
it's
it really is.
pictorial and
That sounds like we should all take a look.
And I got,
Yeah,
if you email Tim Smith, he'll send it to you.
and as
or
I
you
said,
can go to
the,
the website.
Yeah.
'Cause it's-
yeah, the Forest Service is coming to the select board on 4 June. And anyone can listen to that, hear what they have to say. They're gonna talk about this. So that'll give you more information
Thank you.
specifically about
Yeah.
this, so.
I think
It's
it's
a public information meeting on June 3rd at the Forest
Forest
Service
Service.
headquarters building in Campton. An open house
Exit-
specifically to talk about
Exit
this
27.
NOI. And then, the 4th, they're here with the select board. And then on the 5th, I don't know what time, but there is a Zoom online period, and those meetings are detailed on the Forest Service.
Website.
So there are 3 meetings
The stuff that they sent out is pretty detailed, but.
I mean, for the purpose of this meeting, I would just pluck that one out, 826, and just put it in our list.
Yep.
Cause we wanna keep an eye on it. We may have a secondary or tertiary priority, but, cause it's so general, but we wanna keep an eye on it.
It very much so.
And I will say that I think last meeting, we designated Rick to stay apprised of that.
I'll probably be going third.
Might see some of us there.
Someone to replace you, that's someone come, I mean, I'll be obviously at the select board meeting, but someone from the. Someone else from the planning
I'm
board,
gonna be away that whole time.
wanna come and listen to them, that would be
I'll probably be going.
on down, yeah. But the the conservation commission
Yeah.
should come too.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what they have to say.
The chair will come.
Anyway,
Well, okay. Next step. Offer assistance. Well, I think that's exactly what we'll be doing. Turning the page.
Wait, on number 7,
They don't even want a skateboard park, do they?
well, the last I heard him say was that they're reevaluating, they want one, but they're not sure where to put it. That's the last I heard.
that's
Yeah,
lot.
but that's
We're dependent on them.
several months old.
Yeah, that's lot, I mean, the question is there a place to put it?
But
We'll wait on them.
Well, I think that's, I turned the page because it's,
yeah,
it's not our decision.
well, we're the responsible party because we're supposed to help them evaluate alternative locations. I think for this exercise, this should be on our list. Then we can prioritize all these.
Okay.
I think we have to amend what it says when I read it.
Nope, it's already
So
accepted.
then never mind.
Well, it's already accepted
Well,
by
we
the
could, I
town.
mean, once we get our list of things, then we can have an amendment page, as I recall from Tara, if we wanted to.
It's gonna be a long meeting, folks.
Never mind.
Let's
I'm just
do-
trying to pick out ones to put on this list.
Yeah.
That we can go and discuss later.
Continue to support the needs of activities of Waterville Valley Recreation Department. Okay, I think we're pretty good at that.
Yep.
Continue to provide high quality facilities.
The next page, we're not on.
Yeah.
We're not-
Oh, the recreation department, yeah. Okay, Margaret's suggestion. Now, the hockey academy. Continue to work cooperatively with hockey academy to support upkeep and increase use of.
Yeah.
We're not
Not
on
on the
This whole
list.
page, for the next
we're not on page.
15. 8.216.
I'm on 113.
The one
Well,
will be the next page
we're
on.
not on 8.2.12 Ice Arena, that's not we're not
Yeah,
even
we're not
listed.
even on that page, not on page 113.
I know, I
We don't
understand
come
your
back
concern,
in
but it
until
was.
15,
No,
8.2.16.
Is there any discussion with them about that? As I've never heard anything about public skating facilities that.
At the select board, there has been, and I think we're planning to hold a meeting, actually, yesterday, when did we decide we were?
July.
It was July, we were going to review the Ice Arena lease and everything that goes with it at one of our July select board meetings.
Mr. Chairman, the planning board's not on
Right,
anything until 8.2.16. On page 114.
Okay.
Aren't you just doing the planning board items right now?
Right.
Yes, but I
mean,
wanted
we'll
to,
talk with department heads and you'll review the other items as well and get an update. I would imagine at the joint meeting that you would sit down with the other people, right? And get their input on their items. But
Yes.
shouldn't you be looking just at the planning board ones now?
I would, and I wanted to have a cursory look at
Oh,
other
okay.
items because. You know, things that have occurred over time, which is that people have remarked. You know, conversation with citizens saying that, I wonder if it's ever possible to have public skating at the ice arena.
Well, that's the planning, that's the select board.
Yeah, that's not our stuff.
One of the things they'll talk to.
Fair enough,
yeah, but read the lease.
yeah,
I have.
I hesitate to do it. We'll talk about it later. So, we're looking past and, Corcoran Pond is well, an important subject. Is anything here that anybody wishes to comment?
We're not,
You're not on.
We're not
until
on.
16.
we're not on it.
We're on 16.
No,
I mean, I get what everybody's saying, and I did do the same thing. I went through and highlighted what the planning board was in the responsible party. However, this is our document, right?
Mhm.
So
Correct.
if this is a priority, then we need to reach out to those people who are part of it.
Gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
In other
I
words,
hear you, the Corcoran's Pond has been a little hot item. for-
yes, one of the reasons why I wanted to at least say something is that I know that we've been reviewing the agreement that pertains to the shoreline. And
the
I-
select-
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I agree with, what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, what Morgan has said, but items 13, 14, and 15, I can shorthand it, really, there's not, absolutely nothing that the planning, board. It's not like we're talking about the easements or agreements, it's create events. It's continue boat rentals, it's encourage youth fishing program.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to address that.
Yeah, but that's what they are, so I would say. make-
Okay, I'm ready to turn the page as ready as anybody else here. But I wanted to ask if that, I know that we did assign some, that is, some of us are looking at that agreement that
No.
pertains to the shoreline.
The select board is, and they will have a meeting with Tyrell about the easement documents.
Yes,
And the agreement document. I think for the planning board purposes, in line with those other discussions that the select board will have with the developer. The special zoning district, and I don't know if it's in another item here later
no,
in the list. You're gonna need to look at that special zoning district
That would be a good
for
amendment.
Corcoran's Pond.
Yeah.
Because of what may get submitted
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I
And
don't,
the
I
planning board should review.
do that. I don't think that special zoning
Today.
district is in the master plan, so we should put that down. It's not a particular item, but probably maybe an amendment to our master plan to review the parameters of the special zoning district for.
Which would go
Pond.
here in this.
It would. yeah,
If you look at number 16, I would think that reviewing the special zoning district could fall under that.
Right, and then elevation planning board to responsible, one of the.
Well,
responsible parties.
they are already there.
Yeah, but we're not a responsible party.
Right.
I would
You
highlight,
think that,
so 8.2.16, I think.
Okay.
that's
We
just a.
have to see, we
on
have
the
to see
pathway.
what gets submitted. But that special zoning district goes from the dock all the way to Valley Road on the north side of the pond.
Right,
So just depending on what, if anything, gets submitted today, it may be in that area, given what we've conceptually been told, right? So,
Hmm.
so let's see what gets submitted, and this may be a priority task for you guys to look at that.
right, and it may be, okay, I understand. Quite apart from this, from this,
Well, if they submit it today.
yes,
Figures
it's gonna
it's
end
21
up as
days.
as a priority item to
Right.
deal with, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
21 days for the next meeting, so this would be a late,
Today,
If they submit an
This-
application,
submitted today.
today's the last day for our meeting.
today is the last day for your meeting in June. It's 21 days today.
Good, I won't be here.
Okay.
How many times are you gonna tell us that?
Here we go.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm turning the page. Now, but
Well, 17, sorry.
Yeah.
We are listed as,
a party. Not the lead.
And just to update you, the delineators are being put up.
We noticed.
Our meeting,
yes,
Driving.
but we're doing.
Yeah, we continue to strive.
Yeah. I did wanted to like say, use the villas as a prime example, right? So we approved the villas and then we had to talk about the trail in front of it and how we were gonna do that. So that is a good example of why this one's important.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
okay,
Put that on the list, 8.2.17.
Thank you.
yes, this whole matter of survival of trails is something that, you know, it's on my list of things that
Right.
Well,
that we
residents
could
of
do.
Peter Plain that they're very concerned
it's
about
their- Their priority, yeah.
about.
Say that
the
again?
Trail system.
Who, say it again?
I said residents have made it quite plain to the planning board that over the last couple of years, certainly, that the
Yes.
trail system is a great interest to them.
Yes. And although development's a good thing, elimination of trails is not. And looking for ways
It
to
was a general statement, I agree.
well, let's say to, I don't know, I'll use this term negotiate, don't really like that very much, but to do whatever we have to do to see that these trails survive.
Sure.
Okay, moving on. Straight as in bicycle rider education. Is there anything that we can do about that?
No.
I mean, from time to time that is, yeah,
What number are you on?
18.
18, 18.
That, I keep thinking about using this particular website, you know, news and views. I don't know whether it's our prerogative and our, whether the planning board should be saying anything on the
No,
website.
I could tell you what the select board's position on that is, that since we have no control over what is a privately maintained, established, Facebook page.
Yes,
That it's not an appropriate vehicle for the town really to communicate, at least as primary communication. To the residents and property owners and visitors of the town, so we've resisted
Yeah.
using news and views to make any kind of announcement, unless it's something very critical that we need to get out right away. We'll add it to the list, but we have other mechanisms, including the town webpage.
right.
The rec department does put on like a kid's bike safety.
That would be,
Public Works.
yeah, they have their,
Mhm.
Yeah, Public Works does it with the school, school every year.
Let's see.
yeah,
We can also have other vehicles, they have the Citizens Academy going on and things like that. I'll mention it to the public safety director and make sure that part of that program mentions it, just to help
Yeah.
increase
Well,
awareness.
indeed, public safety and parks and recreation
Yeah.
are the lead responsible party, so.
We'll
They
reach
could
out
put it
to
on
them.
their websites, whatever the language they wanted to
Yeah.
put on safety,
Okay,
bicycle ride safety, yeah.
we'll get around to it later in the document, I think, but finding some way to make use of social media.
We have 3 social media pages. The Public Works, the Recreation Department and the town all have Facebook pages. We have the town website. We have the ability of people to sign up for instant alerts for anything that's posted on the website. We are updating our website this summer. And we're gonna find more interconnectivity as we bring a new website online. So we're addressing the internet.
Excellent. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Can I just say one last thing? real
Yes.
quick? You know, we could always just talk to the Adventure Center too, and the folks down there and see if there isn't any way they can provide some guidance to their renters, because
Mhm.
generally what I see is the people who are renting bicycles who rarely ever get the chance to ride a bicycle are
Yes,
the ones who are putting themselves in the most,
We've talked about this at the select board and about putting flyers,
yeah.
giving them flyers to hand out. We have.
Here's where you ride your bicycle, if there's pedestrians, they
Right.
have the right of way, be careful, you know,
Right,
that's the crew, that's the problem.
okay, I agree with that comment. The people who are most incompetent on bicycles are the ones who rent.
They also tend to be all over the road.
Yeah,
Nice.
okay.
well, the select board is in for safety measures, so that would be select board function.
Yeah.
On 18.
Trails. Continue to cooperate with the White Mountain National Forest, Waterville Valley Resort.
Manga.
Okay.
Funny.
Well, 20 is, 20 is how we get at trails.
Yeah. Okay, so we encourage owners, so what do we, that's good language, you know, it sounds good. Is it, are we doing anything?
Well, Yeah, we had an extended discussion over, I think, at least a couple meetings on a subdivision plan of rec land and there was quite an extensive discussion. Residents came to talk about the trails, the
Yeah.
trail that crossed that. So we are encouraging owners of land and trail easements. It wasn't exactly the subdivider, proposed subdivider's easement, but we did talk about the trail that went through there. So, yeah, I think we do.
Ongoing as presented.
Yeah, I
Yep,
think we
so
do.
we're doing it.
I think we look at all these.
I do think there's an action item that I have talked about, with regard to mapping out where those are. Do we have an inventory of where trail easements like the one that we took, you just were.
We only have, I think,
Mark, didn't you tell us that? they have
that's the
We
resort
only have the town easement.
That would be a
We do
resort.
not have the private easement.
easements.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Well, no,
Well, we have copies of the deeds, every deed for every property in town. And those include the easement languages in them, but we do not have an inventory. You would have to review 1,500 parcels.
Right.
Oh, I don't know.
To pull out the easement, so we have done that for the town owned property, and we have that.
vast majority of those easements are not trail related.
And virtually none of the town ones are trail related. The majority of the trail easements are private easements.
Most of them are resort easements.
With the resort.
Well, they're easements in favor of the resort. There are many property owners who have easements across their property in favor.
Of the resort.
So.
Yeah.
But it would be a job to sit down and physically read every deed and pull out every easement.
I'm thinking you could reverse engineer it. You look at where the trails are and you go back and look at those specific.
That'd be a way to. Someone would have.
I wonder, has anybody ever asked the resort and or Terrell if they have an inventory? I can ask Tim.
Why would we have an
Just out of interest.
inventory of 1,500 parcels and who knows how many easements on top of it? When most of those will never be acted on or come before the planning board for action. I think, again, this is another item. We're covered, we're aware of that, and as they come to us, our time could be better spent than making long lists of things of which most we
I didn't
never
wanna do it.
deal
I
with.
wanted to give it, somebody to give it to us.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you know what
It'd
I'm
be a
saying?
waste of their time too,
Well, they may have it. I'm gonna ask Tim if they have it.
Yeah. They probably do.
Okay, next,
8-3.
8-3, moving here. Water quality is another matter that we could do 8-3, number 6.
Think we did it.
We did.
Somebody asked me a water quality question.
Tell them
We-
to bring it to the select board.
Do we fluoride our water?
No, there's natural
No.
fluorination.
Natural.
No.
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 But
So-
If there's any fluoride in it, it's natural.
it's
It's a like, so when you go bring your child to the doctor, they ask you to test your water for fluorination and if you do or don't. So we do. It's natural here. We don't have to add any.
Put out every year in the consumer confidence
Okay.
report.
Yes.
By the water department. We report the levels of fluoride and we have a whole blurb in it. So just
I remember
go
reading it.
online. There are 7 years, 8 years of consumer confidence reports on that. So,
Okay.
Yes,
yep, we monitor it and
and we're lucky to have good water.
we have great.
We're on
All right.
836.
836,
Which check that off. We did it.
Check it off.
Yeah,
yeah.
we've done it.
Celebrate.
But
We
But-
did something.
we did something, yes.
And
Okay.
same with
Same with
Yeah,
7.
7.
Did it?
Explore fund-
And then 8 is the Concom, so
8 is what?
conservation.
Conservation Commission.
Yes.
9, I think,
We've done it.
yeah,
yep.
that's what we could get. I
Yep.
think the question there was, did we want to go back? It's like circle back. I'll let the board members who are in favor of that speak to that. Circle back to that one on the pond.
The only comment that I had about vegetation is that should we have a list of natural or vegetation that is characteristic of this to suggest to people, to suggest to developers?
I say.
That would be good.
Conservation,
Conservation Commission.
not the planning board.
Ex officio,
Please
you
make
want to
note.
do something about that or,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Please make note.
I know you weren't asking me, you were telling me.
Huh?
Nothing. We're
Okay,
good.
nothing, good, nothing.
No.
Turning the page. Invasive species, that's the same comment, you know, things that should be there versus things that should not be there. That's something the Conservation Commission can do and suggest to those, you know, when people build a new house and say, you know, here is our suggestions that might be helpful
Okay.
in.
There's a native plants brochure upstairs.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
There is. Conservation Commission has done one, yeah.
But what, sorry, yeah,
Go ahead, yes,
what's enforcing that? Like,
nothing.
I-
There's
there's no-
no regulation. We can't tell people, we can only suggest. The code enforcement office, when they get a building permit. If it includes a landscape plan, they can hand them that brochure. And suggest that they use native plants, but there's nothing that says you must use only these plants.
Yeah. There are restrictions in general from like invasive species, like,
Right, the invasive species side, that
Yeah.
is taken care of, but
Okay.
the actual. Limiting people to,
Not planning
Only
for
native.
day or something like that.
Can we? Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can we actually suggest that? I mean, is it really in our realm to suggest?
you can suggest, but
things?
probably not.
As an
mandate.
official, no, wait, as an official,
Andy.
You can suggest
You can
whatever you want.
request it for site plans,
Yeah,
I mean, like landscaping.
Yeah, we have,
we do,
we have.
so legally, we can do that.
Yes, you can recommend, you
Right.
cannot force them to.
Recommend this.
But a smart developer would pay attention to the recommendations,
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, I can remember at the time when we were,
build the villas.
yes.
Yep.
The village on Bull Hill was
Yeah.
quite a discussion about that. Moving on.
Now, here's the big one.
Friend, the dark sky.
I would say we can automatically call that a priority one
Yes. It's on my list of
Yeah,
to tell.
the things that,
SE group about it.
we have sort of
It-
reached a dead end, but.
yes,
Well-
what are we gonna do now?
It's a dead end only because there are competing interests with both of which, I say both, but the sides of which have valid points. And we're, it's not so much at a dead end as we haven't decided how we want to approach it, given the valid points between safety and welcoming resort town and the traditional dark skies
Mhm.
that many of us, you know, one of the reasons we moved here was to have that experience, you know.
Yeah.
So, I think,
Yes.
I don't know what we're gonna do about it, but it should be, you know, 8, 3, 12,
12 and 13.
12 and 13.
12 and 13 and highway. I think we can pick those as priority one right now and something to highlight to SE groups, see if they can help us get out of this
Yes.
conundrum. But I think it's gonna cost money, and that's the other
That,
part.
that was,
That's-
that was the issue.
That
The
is,
issue was that I don't wanna call them major dark skies offenders, if you wanna call them that. For example, Black Bear's parking lot, as an example. We spoke to them, they said, sure, we'll be very happy to do something as long as you pay for it,
Yeah, but,
right? Which comes back to dollar signs,
well, it comes back to town meeting.
comes back to town meeting, comes back to
Right.
dollar.
Right, you could create a capital reserve fund for dark sky compliance.
People wanted to.
If
but-
people
Yeah,
wanted
I
to.
mean, you know, if we got up to $50,000-$60,000 there, maybe more,
You could, but.
maybe there's something that
And
can
then
be
you have to
done.
put parameters into how.
And, you know,
high-
will it really address the problem when a lot of the lighting that we see one could say, and I don't know if there's been a study, but I believe it to be true, that a lot of the lighting we see comes from residences, not from,
Mhm.
So a lot come from residences, a lot comes from
So,
parking lots.
you know, lights coming through windows and stuff, so.
Except we have been told that the resort would like to put up lights for night skiing.
Yeah.
I think that's not anything official, obviously, they don't have a plan. in front of us.
We don't have any
That, that,
control
that-
Okay,
It's
one
White
at a
Mountain
time.
National Forest.
that's national forest.
if they're talking about up there, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So we-
national forest.
From your site plan regulations and zoning ordinance, okay.
Yes,
So they're on
it's health and
national forest.
safety, permanent.
And they do
Yeah.
have they do have a project on the National Forest.
They do.
It's on that,
Permanent
Okay.
Skiing lights.
it's on that 85 page maps
Yeah.
and all the
Got
rest of the thing.
I mean, but I think we do need to discuss it as a board. We may have to go back to the, you know, the original idea. I mean, are we still able to be a dark skies compliant town? I think the answer is yes, but it's gonna cost a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah.
There may be a question before that, though. Do we want to be?
Well, that's what I was
Yes.
kind of saying.
100% yes.
Is it?
Well, no,
Is it-
wait a minute.
Priorities.
I'm not disagreeing, wait a minute. I didn't even disagree.
I think this is
Look, ladies and gentlemen,
discussion.
gotta try to
Try to
control
consider
the
for
floor,
we're not
please.
Rewriting.
All right, one at a time. That, we do have an ordinance. And the question is it possible to enforce it? Can we make this work for the town? Or do we need to modify it? And if we do need to try to enforce it, then we're gonna need a budget. Is that our concurrence?
Not quite, Mr. Chair, but I would argue that we just, or I would propose that we just put this down and move along.
Yes,
Because we're not meant to really
it's not trying
decide.
to solve the problem today.
Right, just, this is a high one for us, 8.3.12. I think we all agree, just from this discussion, we can see that it's a high priority.
Yes,
We already know that's one of those that's gonna go on the high priority list. To talk to SE group, to inform SE group and talk to them about.
8317. Page 120.
and conservation land. Does Conservation Commission have anything to say? John, about before we move on?
On 17,
Yes,
It's ongoing, yeah,
ongoing.
it's ongoing, it's part of our. site
Well,
Plan review.
on 8.3.17,
yes,
well, I don't think the Conservation Commission is. involved.
no, I was saying the two previous items, 15 and 16.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Bill.
We're having a
Sorry to-
meeting. We're having a meeting today and I will bring this to their attention.
Yes, sir. Alan?
Yeah, just going back to dark sky and the ski resort. It would be a perfect place for somebody to bring this question up when the Forest Service comes to discuss their E EIS.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the 4th, Alan.
Yes, we accept that.
Actually, I'll be out of town, but I'm gonna try to zoom in.
We do not Zoom our select board meetings.
And I have a problem with that, but that's my problem.
Submit a comment.
I mean, you could listen to the recording, or you could listen to it live and then comment on it. Because it's within the comment period, I forget, is the middle of June?
The comment period ends June 16th, but I'm thinking the planning board should have a comment as opposed to me as a person.
I agree, and that's why I recommended that the planning board be represented at the select board meeting and it not be me, since I will be chairing the meeting as the select board chair. But I agree with
Okay.
you, Alan. There should be
Wait,
planning board presentation and someone should be primed to talk about dark skies.
June 4th.
One of the strong proponents of dark skies on the board might want to.
Okay, do we have a volunteer to do that?
Yeah, check my calendar.
What
Rick,
date
are
is
you
that,
interested?
I was gonna go on the 3rd, I think, down to Canton, but I can.
You could, no, that's good too. That's
Yeah.
good too.
Sounds like,
Jan? Is that on the 4th, Rich, you were talking
The
about?
4th at 3 p.m.
I'm gonna try and go to that.
It's a regular select board meeting. I think we have a public hearing ahead of time.
depends on how you wanna do the.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
He's
start it
gonna
up.
be here, talk to her.
Right.
or-
Yeah, see, maybe
Yeah.
the later half, unless she just wants to sit here for a half.
Yeah, I could be there.
Very
Not
good.
gonna be just.
Few of us
Yeah.
can make it.
All right, I think we're gonna have more than one person. Margaret?
Yeah, I just had a question about the dark skies thing. Are we? When that ordinance came in, obviously there were a lot of people that had lights that were not compliant. But the ordinance doesn't apply to those people, does it?
Correct.
Yes, because there is a
It's not-
grandfather clause.
Right, so part of what we've been trying to do is to ask people who are not required to do so to change over.
Exactly, and then that, as a member of that working group, I can remember the discussions, it always came down to money.
Right,
They said, okay, I understand your circumstance and I understand that the town has an ordinance and I'd be willing to comply. But, you know, I don't wanna, I don't wanna,
But you pay for it.
yeah.
right.
So if we had a
That's
budget, if we had a
dangerous.
budget, we could accomplish many more of those
Well, and
circumstances.
that's dangerous territory to get into the town supplying money to private landowners.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's illegal.
Well, that's
That might answer the question, but still,
The lawyers would love it, that's for public good.
but it doesn't stop us from, quote, negotiating, saying to people that it would be in the town's best interest if you did this.
Or pointing out areas where they could apply for grants.
Yes,
Mhm.
okay. No, it's on our,
Years later.
it's on our priority
It's
list.
number one right now.
We're gonna continue to talk about dark skies. Okay,
Where were we?
we are
17.
17.
That's part of our process,
Yeah,
17, yeah.
what we do
But
for a living.
anyway,
Check. Check.
Yeah,
Jack.
I don't think that's, okay. It, 18, 19. That is to ensure the landscaping of proposed development will help blend with the natural surrounding. Again, that's our ability to
site plan.
site plan review and our, that we get our time to discuss with developers what they intend to do. And that this is when we insert our preferences for landscaping. So I think that we're satisfactorily covered.
Yep.
10 and 19, 20,
Same,
same,
19.
20, 21.
Yep. Mark that one.
21.
21's one that I, yeah, go ahead, Mark, you have something?
I think that you have an opportunity, you have a very active historical society right now. There are grant monies available to do things along Route 49, which is our scenic byway in town.
Yes.
And I would encourage someone from the planning board to meet with me and talk about the scenic byways program at the North Country Council. Because they're very active and they're very helpful. And there are a couple of areas along Route 49 that we could put turnouts and different things. And I think if you do a cooperative effort between the planning board and the historical society, you might have a successful project with the scenic byways.
Have you spoken to Reggie?
I have mentioned it to Reggie before. There just has never really been anyone on this board that has, really had an interest in it, so we haven't gotten very far.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
there,
I'll
No,
volunteer. I actually was on that board up till just recently from its founding, so I'll get.
Byways?
The high.
No,
Oh, the
a historical society.
Okay.
Is that what you were saying? Have somebody,
To be a cooperation between the two to work on number 21.
Yeah.
It can be
Get
a-
access to the money.
It can be like a number 2 priority or number 3 priority. It doesn't have to be a super high priority.
Mhm.
But I think you have an opportunity because of the energy that the
Yes.
historical society
I
has.
agree.
are there any funds available?
There are,
Yeah,
There are.
grants.
there are.
So that we could make some like parking areas to say, stop here for a scenic view.
An information sign.
Information
There's
sign
a,
is a
there's an
general.
extensive program Yeah, it's the North Country Council level.
Okay,
that We can tap it.
Rob, you want to
Yeah,
move forward
I'll-
on that? Excellent.
Okay,
Just a
so
second.
Rob, we'll set up a time
Okay,
after the CIP meeting next week.
sounds good.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is that national forest? Like if.
It is
Think it goes down
national
to
forest.
6 Mile Village or whatever.
It is national forest land. No, it's national forest land,
The whole,
basically to
From
the
Campton.
to the campsite. So, but we can work with the National Forest, and the group at North Country Council works on Route 2, works on 302. They have a
Stay
great
away.
relationship with NHDOT and the Forest Service, so we can leverage that working relationship that they already have. And they've done turnouts on much bigger highways than.
like the Kanks.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So we'll
Awesome.
we'll work on it. But I just,
Exciting.
that's a nice item that.
Oh, it is, and it's
Might be
very
good.
worthy.
A321,
Yeah. it's for some-
and yeah.
Okay. All right, yes, I wrote that
Okay,
down.
A321, right.
Next,
Okay, moving on.
841.
841.
Okay.
Yes.
They're all affecting
Yes, we
future
do.
land use from zoning amendment to, there's something we do.
Yes,
Yep.
Not only that, it's something we may have to do.
well, we're.
No, but it's, okay, it's part of our ongoing activity. White Mountain National Forest, it has select board. Okay, zoning districts, amend the zoning ordinance to articulate the exact boundaries of the Snows Mountain Special Zoning Area.
Yeah, it's described, it was never surveyed so that there are meets and bounds on it. That's a money thing, if you guys wanna pursue a warrant article or something like that.
I'd say
There's a-
yes.
Well,
Just a minute, please. Let me,
Yep.
go ahead, Mark.
So is everyone familiar, there's a special zoning district at the BBB.
Right, but it has that,
So it's described in our zoning ordinance,
yes,
but it never was surveyed.
agreed.
So there are not meets and bounds and boundaries of that special zoning district.
Did we not agree that we were gonna have it surveyed? Did as we, the planning board not say that? Is there any money to do it?
Right now, no.
That's
It would,
what,
you would need a warrant article to.
Okay,
raise the
so
money to do
Let's
it.
put that on the list
Okay,
as an item.
843,
843.
three.
can I ask a question?
Question.
What is the advantage?
There
I'm,
was, there was.
I'm looking at my pocketbook.
It's right.
Pocketbook. What is the advantage to having it surveyed as opposed to what we have now, which is kind of, hey, it's kind of there?
Yeah, but I think that's,
Well, because if you ever got a plan from BBTS.
yeah,
To do something on their property
Mhm,
and they come in with a site plan,
mhm.
you may not. You may not know whether or not they're in the special zoning district.
And I could do it then.
And wouldn't they be required to do a survey at that point?
That's what I
Right.
thought.
I don't know.
Okay.
That is not, I am not admitted to the bar in New Hampshire.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, I understand,
That's
I,
not-
being a, I hate to say, I'm not cheap. I agree in spending money when it makes sense. My question here is. What is the advantage of
Again,
spending that money?
let's save that debate when, just put it on the list.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we can have that.
yes,
Okay, that's fine,
that-
but you understand my question?
Yeah.
okay.
I put 842 on the list too, just continue setting the updates to the National Forest 10-year plan.
Yeah, that should be. on.
That should be, at least, you know.
That
Yes, we
should-
do that, but.
That should be
it's-
1A,
Well, it should be,
considering what's happening.
it should be, at least, we should note it every year that we're.
You should note it every year. I would really question their ability to do updates to their 10-year plan, given staffing limits that they have right now, but you should keep it on your radar. So those
Yeah.
things sometimes happen very quietly, and you may want to have input.
one of
Mhm.
those continued things we wanna have input, we wanna keep an eye on.
So certainly, if I'm sort of volunteered
Point man.
myself to, I can kind of include that in that activity, just look for updates to that kind of plan as well.
Any changes to it.
Yeah,
And as a general comment, I think the planning board should be, at least think of it as their responsibility to know the defined limits of all the property in town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's something you could just pass over and say, oh, well, it's over there somewhere. I
Or
think we
what
should-
you don't know.
And the things that happen that surprise us later on because we don't know. Okay, moving on. Where are we?
844.
844. Review the allowed uses in special civic
Yeah. I think
and
that's a
consider
good one to
removing
pay
storage
attention
facility
to.
contract.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
That's a good one to pay attention to this year.
Yeah.
yes, because we now own it.
Well,
We're-
no, I mean, for special civic, there are a number of areas that is.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that storage yard
Which,
on the other side of the roadway from the transfer station.
Tecumseh Road.
oh, no, you're talking about the little yard,
Over here?
yeah,
Yeah, don't worry about.
yeah, no, that is now town. That is now
land
town
and it's
property.
Gonna be our
But
sewer
there
treatment.
is.
Yeah, it's gonna be the treatment plant,
So
yeah.
don't
Next-
worry about it.
Next to the White Mountain Athletic Center.
There's a big
Between-
lot.
There's a big lot
Right,
right next to
Right.
the school.
and I think if you look at the map
Right,
behind you,
Yeah.
the brown, dark brown, or the
The
red.
dark maroon.
Maroon, thank you, those are the special civic zones.
This thing here?
Yeah.
Those are all those that colored that way are the special civic zones.
That's all special civic.
So we should review it.
So you should review it, just under 844.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from the cemetery down to town campus here.
Okay. On the list,
On the list.
okay,
All right.
moving on. So we turn the page.
what happened to 5?
5, 6, 7.
Well, you're gonna. do
That's what I
that.
did, so I turned the page, yes.
Oh, I'm
No.
sorry.
8, 4, 5, and 6
Yes.
4 is what we were just discussing, so 5.
is,
5.
it's to support the effort of the Waterville Valley Resort.
We've been doing that.
We've been,
That's,
yeah,
that's,
we're
that's
doing
what's
it,
happened.
Yep.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's specific to the gondola though.
Yeah.
Alright, check.
and to stay abreast of the future plans that
We're doing-
we're
But I
doing
think
our-
we keep them on our radar.
Yes.
Just the
we continue.
845, 846.
Yeah.
Okay, flood and erosion hazards, 847. We've done a zoning ordinance to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would put a check mark beside that,
Celebrate that.
yeah,
Yay.
celebrate, yeah. Okay, workforce housing,
We have, yeah, 4 of these, so I would say it's a priority.
Agree.
We've been working on it.
But haven't
what-
gotten very far.
I mean,
no,
I think we keep it on our radar. I
right,
don't know what more we can do at this point.
well, I think that we're gonna, essentially, we're forced by the state.
Yeah,
You're gonna be,
Yeah.
you're addressing all the workforce housing questions, given whatever legislation passes.
Yeah, I think we have a little careful though, there's affordable housing and
Yeah.
then workforce
Oh, I know.
housing.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're definitely different and
It gets it-
contentious.
I think what we really mean here is affordable housing.
Well, it says affordable.
In it, but it's a type
Yeah.
of workforce housing.
But they,
Yeah,
right, the heading is workforce housing.
right.
And is it our prerogative? Is it our responsibility? I question whether we are essentially responsible for doing something about that.
We have with affordable housing,
Yes, I didn't say that. I said workforce housing.
right, that's what I was getting at, there's a difference between the two.
Yes,
Theoretically, based upon the state definitions. Amazingly enough. We do have affordable housing based upon the state definitions of of affordable housing. All right, amazingly enough.
In fact, if you look at Grafton County, we probably have the most.
Yeah,
because of
affordable
condos.
housing.
yeah.
Okay.
Really, I mean, it doesn't seem like, yeah, but the condos are probably the most affordable housing in the county.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I could accept
well,
that.
some of the condos, yeah.
Some of the condos.
Any comment from Liz?
Yeah, the affordable housing is roughly 30% of your income. So affordable housing is a sliding scale depending on how much you make annually. Whereas workforce housing is roughly 60% to 100% of the area media income. So they're along the same lines, but it's, workforce housing is a subset of the affordable housing. So, there's not a ton of land.
That's right. No, we can all acknowledge that, yeah.
Unless it's
Yeah.
redeveloped.
Right, yeah, and, you know, as residential properties come up, planning board really doesn't have much say over what it's built or rebuilt or designed. But for condos and commercial uses, then definitely, that can be input on that.
So we could put this on our list of 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say one of the amendments we should consider is changing the title from workforce housing to affordable housing.
Affordable
That would be
housing.
captured.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Could we not put both?
I tend to think of,
Affordable is the umbrella, right? And then
yeah,
there's other
I
little
think that
things
it's a
underneath it.
subset of affordable.
Well, I'm just pointing out, we worked really hard to come up with the title on that.
But we can
So-
discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why not change
On the
that?
list.
It's on a list to discuss later, John.
Understood,
okay, how about both?
understood.
Well,
Okay. Turning the page. Yep, I'm at 8.4.12.
Yep.
Engage homeowners in examination of opportunities to increase density. Well, that's another item that is going to be altered by state
Yeah, it's gonna go the other
legislation.
direction.
Huh?
It's going the other direction.
Yeah, it is. But it is, the state legislation is driving us toward residential.
Right. So I think we put it on our list because we're gonna have to do some, well, we may not have to do something about it because we already allow residential in BC, we allow both single family and multi-family.
C1 we have a lot,
C1, we don't allow single family,
but we
No, but-
allow multiple.
multifamily.
Multifamily, but
Right, we'll have to see
we
what
allow
comes out.
residential as opposed to,
We'll have to see what comes out of the legislature, the
the
governor's office.
the definition was that commercial was supposed to be commercial,
Yeah,
not
well, no.
residential, but ours is, okay. It's now a moot point.
Maybe.
Well, we may have to take action on,
On the-
depending on the language of if the governor signs a bill having
Yeah.
to do with this.
If the bill is passed.
We may already be in compliance with it. Because we do allow multifamily housing in our two commercial districts already.
Right, but as a planning board, we were going in the other direction.
We were thinking of going in the other direction,
Yeah.
so. We may have to change this whole thing, but let's put it on the list of something we will deal with. It's probably a priority one only because the legislature.
What the legislation will do to it, yeah.
Will force us to do something potentially.
Potentially.
13. Well, I think we've already done it. And if we don't do it, then
I think we did it.
the legislation will
Yeah,
do
that
it
was
for us,
also-
which is consider
Yeah.
the zone to increase density. That's what this is
We
about.
did it with those cluster homes. Okay, I agree with 14.
Yeah,
I
but
think we all still agree.
Yep.
that's what we'll try to do.
Yeah. Okay, 15. Support creative approaches proposed by local business for increase, no,
Yeah.
we're doing it.
Ongoing.
The 16 ongoing.
17.
Can we go back to 16?
Sure.
Should that not be considering what the Terrell Group is considering doing? And I think that's the wrong word, but it's a resort, should be Terrell, but doesn't matter. That they may be making some changes there shortly. Should that not be a high
We like
priority?
the Conceptual plan and the C1 zoning supports
Yeah.
the conceptual plan, so you're doing.
I think
You're
it's
I
ongoing.
think we're doing it and we're
It would
essentially,
be a site plan review of their new conference center.
Yes.
Which is in that
Yeah.
conceptual plan, so.
then we have to wait for them to make an application.
Yeah, you gotta wait to see the application,
Yes,
but the zoning supports
They're doing
their
it.
concept.
it does. So I could put a check beside that. Okay, local business, continue to encourage diversity. Okay, well, we do what we can to support local business.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything that's specific that we could put on the list. Turn the page. Land use. Careful consideration.
Yeah, well, okay.
I think we're okay there.
Yeah, a lot of these are aspirational ongoing.
Yeah. I would call them ongoing. That is, we didn't forget about it. It's just that.
Yeah.
It's.
It's nothing we want to necessarily highlight, I think.
No,
Not
it's not
actually.
something that you would point to and say, we have to do something about this.
this
Yeah.
year.
Okay, I'm at infrastructure. Yeah, something we do, we update the CIP annually and we do pay attention to
Priority.
it. Yeah, it
Priority
is.
one, I
Yeah.
would put that, priority one, 851.
It's happening next week.
What was that, Mark?
It's happening next week, starting.
Starting
Process.
the process of the CIP meetings.
Yeah, we have a meeting in place.
But a priority one, definitely.
Yeah, it's always a priority one every year.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, this year.
And and following years.
Yeah.
there's never a year when we neglect money. Adequate funding needed for any, okay.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
Five,
that's
eight.
our town management,
I think we're in
858.
858.
85.
There's all the rest, there's town management, public works, yes, 858. Lower additional public transportation linkage such.
Not done anything.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, we're not, no, please.
we're not going there.
Not.
Yeah, I mean, we should, right,
We may,
noted.
yes, it's noted. We're gonna try, but I don't know when we'll get
Ever.
that level of detailed plan. We may be forced to do it by the state if they adopt stormwater regulations, but right now it's kind of, we are addressing every time we do road repaving, we address drainage on that section of road. So you're gonna, starting next week, you'll see New Peak Road, we're replacing culverts, fixing the drainage ditches, and then the road will be paved. So we kind of do it, right now, we're doing it section by section as we do the road, but not a comprehensive plan yet.
Okay, that's all relevant, but that's not what. Yeah,
What number were you talking
Oh, I'm
about, Mark?
sorry, I was.
Number you
looking at
talk-
another one.
yeah,
Sorry.
okay, but
Well,
very
wait a minute,
relevant.
Might as well decide what we want to do with that.
No, I
That's-
just seen,
Is that, you're down,
I was down, there
You
was
were on
another-
stormwater management.
all right, we'll get
Stormwater
there.
management,
Right.
sorry.
Oh.
We were on 858.
Good information, though.
I was ahead of you.
Well, we might as well go there because I don't think there's anything that between 858
Yeah,
and
there's-
stormwater management of 14. I don't think there's anything there that. You know, something that we're doing.
The
But it-
town supports the shuttle bus system and it's
Yeah.
a year to year thing.
Right. But it's not a priority, it's not an
Eight.
urgency that we did to do with
We do
it.
do it every year, but nothing the planning board, I think, needs to highlight.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, so stormwater management though is a primary concern, but I think we're doing it, yes. Because we know that there are gonna be these rainwater events
Like
that
today.
are much more significant than what has been in the past.
And so all of those are ongoing, yeah,
Yeah,
14 through 17.
Yep.
Where are we now? Bicycles and pedestrian infrastructure.
On 18, we had talked about. And I think this is one of the things, is SE Group gonna be re-looking at
Yeah.
this study? That's now what, 11 years old, 12, 11 years old? The pedestrian village study, and the select board has been adhering to it as best it can.
Yes, I understand.
We should probably put this on our list to talk to SE Group about,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
as a
Okay.
priority. I mean, I would put it,
I would put it on the list as a discussion with the SE group.
yeah.
And I remember there was some discussion about, I think a rumble strip that would improve the pedestrian protection.
Yeah, unless you live in a house. on the road.
Next to the road, yeah.
I disagree with that. we can bring it up at a different time, but
Yeah,
how
we'll
did you determine
Yeah.
that would make too much noise? What's the source that you come up
I
with?
think it's just previous comments that have been received. I mean, there's never been a study, but it's.
Well, you're doing 25 miles an hour, so it's made to alert people the
Yeah,
noise,
But
so.
we can talk about it. I'm not.
Yeah.
No,
We'd be
I'd just
lucky
like to
that-
bring that up in the minutes.
I'm sure there's something out there that we could find that
The
probably
speed,
says.
speed tables are pretty effective.
Oh, man, have you? If you remember,
Let's.
I think
about it later.
the issue of roads, I think. Should be primarily these sorts of ideas, I think, are really public safety, right? And select board issues. Public works too. Yeah,
Okay, fine,
I mean, traffic, you see, we're on there for traffic calming devices.
Yeah, but I'd rather someone be inconvenienced with a noise than someone getting bumped by a car.
Yeah.
But another time, for another
yes,
day.
okay,
yes. on the
so
list.
it made it to the list.
Okay.
Where are we?
Yeah.
Parking?
That's another
Fine.
one that. Yeah. I mean, state's coming in here too,
They're
right?
coming in.
But is this just public parking or is this developmental parking?
This is
Well, with
village.
development, we have at least an ordinance that speaks to it, or a site plan review.
Yeah, but
document
that's what could be changing.
for the future, but we're talking about what's out there now and doing any modifications.
You gotta wait and see what this.
Yeah, but I think we need to
That's
know.
one of the bills.
To wait and see what the state has to say,
They
whether
can
it passes or
connect up to
not,
one.
yes. Because they're making some demands about parking,
Yeah,
So we
So
watch it.
wait to see what they vote on. And then talk about it.
Okay.
Rick?
I still think that this is a ASE group keeping an eye on, like, they're aware of what the state's doing.
yeah, that's why we want to
This
bring
is
it up
big.
on our list. So these are the main things we think we need to pay attention to.
I thought you were saying. We need to wait till the state, I think we don't wait at all, we just tell SE group, this is a priority.
Oh, yeah, no, I think, I agree with that. I think we're trying to say the same thing.
Okay,
No, it's been an ongoing problem in the town.
Yeah, I think we'll put this whole parking 21 to 21 and 22.
And it's major real estate in town and it's,
21 and 22.
21 and
It's a mess.
22, we should put as a priority because we're gonna talk to SE group about. Because the state's gonna do something that's gonna force our hand.
okay. It's on the list.
Could
We've
we,
already done 23, kind of, haven't we? Although we're not on there, so forget my comment.
excuse me, could we go back to parking for a moment?
Mhm.
Couldn't we also talk with Tyrell, with their conceptual plans on parking, or is that just already a norm?
I mean, their conceptual plan has a garage. Two garages.
Well, here's the issue, so, I think what I was trying to say, John, was we have in our ordinance through what's required for parking for developments.
Okay,
However, that appears that it's going to be overridden by ongoing legislative action, so that's why we need to see. So that what the state is gonna require from us. They're thinking to move from 1.5 to 1 parking spot.
okay.
And you're absolutely right, when they presented that conceptual design of the 2 parking garages. They said they needed those parking garages in order to meet our zoning requirement.
Understood. Okay.
That may not be true, depending what the state does. So we will be talking to them, but we need to wait and see what
Okay, got it,
the legislature does and what the governor signs.
all right.
And that's only one part of it. I mean, there's some of those others about no parking at all, in some developments, right?
Yes.
Not requiring any parking.
Right, yes, depending on what type of development it is.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a little sticky, especially if you have mixed use buildings.
yeah.
If you have commercial on the first floor and residential on the second, that might get a little iffy.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, let
and
people
there's no
on.
guidance yet on
Yeah.
it, so
Oh,
we'll see how they roll out the wild west.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah.
Soon. I hope.
So that's,
Get them out of town.
watch it.
Yeah, but I think it's towards the top because we're gonna have to deal with it, parking in some which way.
Yeah, but what are we gonna do?
We have to wait and see what the state,
That's it,
We wait.
that's it, so,
we don't know what we need to do yet.
okay, and I don't, therefore, it's not a priority until the state makes it one.
Well, it will be,
Be soon.
it'll be soon.
Yeah, which will be-
Okay, fine.
We got it.
We got enough things on the list is my point. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want a list that's
But
20
our
items.
priority, but our priority section is only, I think, 4 or 5, maybe.
That's good.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
want more than
Well, we'll make it, this is the initial cut, then we go back and
that. Cut again, okay.
recut it. just everything can't be priority one like the CIP committee likes to do.
Yes.
I'm just saying as an aside.
God.
CIP, well, when you present, and the planning board, when you present to the select board, here's what we need, and it's all priority one. Yeah.
What's not our money?
Now you figure out how we're gonna pay for this.
Yeah, that's it. All right, where are we? We've done what parking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Infrastructure. Electrical vehicle charging, we've done that.
Yeah, we're not on it. Wait, where are we?
I thought we were in number 5.
Oh, I'm on 8.5.
Please to give the number.
23.
23.
No, we're not on
Not on it.
No.
26.
Oh,
On
Okay,
no, 23.
I thought electric charging was an interesting item.
Yeah, it is, but.
Anyway, we did it.
No, that's,
Yeah.
You're doing number
What one?
26.
26.
yeah.
Yeah,
26.
I'd say that's an ongoing item.
Yep.
Yep, there's a building assessment that's
Oh.
gonna happen later this year, and there are CIP projects, so it's ongoing.
Yeah, okay.
27 or no?
Well, we're talking about
No,
improve the drainage and package field. Is that part of the,
That's part
No.
of the CIP.
we're
but
actually,
the drainage is big time problem all over the town.
Indeed. 32.
We did the vote.
To,
You had done that. The town had done it.
yeah.
And they said no.
We've taken it off the CI, well, we've delayed it. We've taken it off the 5-year portion of the CIP, not remember correctly, the 6-year.
Not on the,
We haven't pushed it out to like
There's the
twenty
placeholder.
75 or something.
well, we don't go that far. We only.
I know.
6-year CIP.
I was trying to be funny.
Okay.
It's not on the CIP,
It's not on-
certainly not.
Yeah, well, it's also obvious that if we don't dredge it, one day it's gonna be Corcoran Brook.
Yeah.
Okay, Camden.
reserve one, like that, that's important.
Until we find the money, and the more time we spend, you know, the more money it'll be. John,
So I have a question for Mark. Do you have any, we're looking for some updates, we haven't gotten any, but from Rick Vanderpool? In regards to the pond?
There's no.
I got nothing,
There's no updates from him on the pond.
okay,
His project, yeah, well, the Conservation Commission.
it's supposed to be done this year, but
That
we
will
haven't
be
heard.
done this year, but that's not the pond. The pond is on hold indefinitely.
Understood.
okay, yeah,
That's
understood.
So you
Right.
kind of put a done on it. There's a $1 placeholder in 2030 in the CIP right now. But everything is
Mhm.
For dredging the pond.
for dredging.
We're putting it off till 2030.
No.
We're putting it off,
We're
full
putting it
stop.
off indefinitely. So, but that's a discussion for a later
Right,
date, once the CIP.
right.
Hence my comment about Corcoran Brook.
We
So,
don't have full.
but it's not our, okay,
The
moving on.
resort's not gonna live.
Yeah, move on.
Public work,
Where are we?
We're at 33.
We're working on 33 right now. It's part of the wastewater treatment plant project, so
okay.
it's on the.
Is this CIP?
Yes.
Is that
it's a
why
CIP.
planning board is on?
Yeah.
Same thing with 34. That's a CIP issue, and obviously the wastewater treatment plant is not.
landing 35.
35,
Five, no, different.
37,
37. Coming on.
38 is a CIP item. We do that. It's ongoing. We already have, we can celebrate number 39.
39, we got third celebration.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay. Complete the project, active wells.
They're all connected to the treatment building. 40 is ongoing, part of the CIP.
Is it? Does, we,
We do, yes, we're working on a comprehensive itemization.
is there an expansion plan?
No expansion plan right now, we don't need it.
Okay,
But as far as a maintenance and an inventory, we are working.
all right. Here's one that is 42.
For
41.
41.
Okay,
41, we have some ideas the select board's been working on. I'll brief the CIP subcommittee.
Awesome.
okay, now I moved to 42.
Yep,
That's really been the
where
town.
Steve
Yeah,
is
Always
working,
ongoing.
it's ongoing.
Couple of accomplishments is we took our financial software that was sitting on our physical server. Purchased a new financial software and an HR software combined that sits in the cloud that adds some more
Security.
cybersecurity protection around our
Yay.
financials and our employee that.
Yeah.
So
Wow. You
So
know,
we're-
I
Well
don't
done.
think-
It's awesome.
It's ongoing.
yeah, I don't think anybody has any particular interest in hacking Waterville Valley, but
Oh,
Always.
No.
Listen to us all. Always. There's always.
Big time.
yeah, I'm about to say that everybody gets hacked, everybody.
Be amazing.
Yeah, there's a breach
Yeah.
going on
Sounds-
everywhere all the time that it isn't a database that I haven't put my name into, where I haven't received a notice to say that all your information's been breached. Too bad, you know,
Concord Orthopedic.
you can deal with the problem later.
Cost towns millions of dollars.
44 to 48 is the
CPC.
CPC.
So, I don't think our list is that bad.
No.
No,
How many did we really highlight as?
1, 2.
Well, that's good, that's the objective.
wow, 411, surprised. Good facilitation, Bill.
18 general.
Right, and have
1, 2,
Priority.
3.
Community Power Committee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
I only have 3 listed as primary, but
great.
Good.
That's a good
Did
number.
anything come out of the presentation that, what was her name, Linda
Coleman.
made about the solar organization that wanted to address some of our ordinances? Asked us to alter some of our ordinances in order to make it easier for
You're
people to
supposed
install
come back and
solar.
Give us some.
Let me bring that
Right.
up. They have a meeting next week. And we'll, if they have anything, I'll make sure that they bring it back in and it's an agenda.
Okay,
So we had 4 primaries. One is dark sky. 8.5 number 1. 8.5. 18 and 19, which is the SE group for traffic calming. And parking. But I may have missed something.
8.4, 4, 5, and 6.
1, 4, 4, 5, and 6. Okay.
Which one?
Special civic
And
review.
6 was water.
4, 5, and 6 under land use,
Was
4 is
Was
review special.
gondola,
Yep.
future development, stay abreast, special civic zone, storage facilities and contractor yards.
Yep.
Yeah, special civic zone, I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8.4.
Yeah,
Definitely look at that.
But
Yes.
that's good. That's a pretty
A manageable.
manageable list
Plus whatever zone minutes we're gonna have to deal with.
and whatever site plans you're gonna.
The site plans come up.
yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna have, yes,
Need room for that.
and that will be the majority of our time. Okay, I have the special item that I wanted to bring forward today.
Good.
Um,
Give me 1 minute.
that's okay, you have 1 minute. I was gonna ask Mark. You've seen it?
Yep.
Any comment?
No.
Okay,
We're taking care, I mean, we're addressing it, it's not
What is the topic?
okay, I will address it. It came to my attention that in the process of reviewing a request by a landowner to build a wall within the setback of his property.
Across the street.
I'm not addressing that, it was just that this happened. And the more that I looked at the problem, the more, not problem, more I looked at the circumstance, the more it appeared to me that the select board exceeded its authority in granting permission to do it.
I agree.
And that I listened to it as I watched the videos, and I came to a conclusion that this matter needed to be addressed. So I composed a letter from me to the select board, making specific reference to the zoning ordinances that our new zoning ordinances amended on March 11th. And 3 specific references. And I have here a copy of the letter that I composed, and I'm going to ask Madam Secretary to read it so that everybody does understand exactly what the circumstance is and why
The ongoing circumstance.
I think that it's worthy of address.
We're gonna just pass.
Huh?
We can just, it was
Simply get off my fucking do something.
Oh, wow.
actually a good story.
There is only one correction, and I will say that when I get there, make it obvious. All right, I will begin.
There you have, and please, Madam Secretary.
So this is from our planning board chair to the select board chair. There are references noted here and they are attached. So it says, Dear Rich, the planning board has concluded that the select board exceeded its code enforcement authority on 26 September when it determined that there is no distinction between a wall and a fence and that neither construction is subject to setback limitations if either is 3 feet in height or less. The definition of a structure is clearly written in Article 3, Definitions, Definition 100. It plainly reads that a wall is a structure and makes no mention of a height parameter. The select board determined that not treating walls like fences subject to a height limitation was a drafting error or an illogical position written into the zoning ordinance by the planning board and approved at town meeting. Therefore, it had no, that's the correction, no authority to, quote, reinterpret the meaning of, quote, structures. The planning board can find nothing in the zoning ordinance which gives the select board this authority. By taking this position and deciding that a wall project proposed by a property owner would not violate the zoning ordinance as long as the wall was 3 feet in height or less, the select board has opened our town up to wall construction within setbacks anywhere in WV as long as the wall is 3 feet or less in height. As this was not the intention of the ordinance, the planning board must now act to clarify the definition of a wall. Furthermore, your decision has pushed the planning board into a position where it is compelled to strengthen the existing ordinance in order to prevent any property owner from doing what this one property owner has done. That is, to hold public hearings on the modified ordinance, to compose a warrant, and to present the modified ordinance for voter approval at the next town meeting. To do nothing would allow walls to be built anywhere in town within setbacks, which would be a disservice to the residents and be seen as a planning board failure. Although it does not appear that your decision is reversible, the planning board wishes that the select board acknowledge this decision as an error, that you acknowledge that the select board does not have the power or the authority to reinterpret or to change the meaning of any town ordinance, and to recognize that the procedure for altering an ordinance must start with the consent of the planning board or petitioned warrant, followed by the formulation of a warrant for presentation at town meeting for voter approval. Sincerely, William Spence.
Comments, yes,
I
Scott.
think we should explain exactly what we're talking about, where we're talking about, and what is happening.
Well, the reason that I
It's across the street from me.
No.
No.
Well, I don't think that's a relevant point.
That's true.
Right. And I don't think we need to discuss the particular details of it, and that's not for the planning board to decide. That's a select board problem. But what, the reason that I did this was that it opens up the town for this problem.
Very much.
And that if we don't do anything about it, there could be walls everywhere, and anybody could do it, and there'd be nothing that the planning board could say is that you cannot build a wall in your setback.
Right,
So this has to be fixed.
one way or another.
And, you know, to me, it's unfortunate, but I'm critical of the select board for doing it.
Can I just have?
Point of order, yes.
So when a decision like what the board did is made, you have 30 days to appeal that to the ZBA. That's what they're there.
Mhm.
I would just encourage the planning board, when you see something like this happen, if this is the way you feel, then you should have a meeting and you should, as a board, decide to appeal the decision to the ZBA.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, just for the
I
future
accept
reference.
that.
Okay, so whatever you're gonna do here, that's fine, but I just wanted to make it clear that you do have power to appeal a decision like this.
I accept that. And
Are we within that 30 days still?
No.
oh, no, that happened a long time
It
ago.
happened in September.
Happened in
Margaret.
September.
Yeah, I just, one of the things that was not included in here that I think the select board relied on was the matrix. That is in our zoning regulations. I think that's where.
I don't know what you mean by matrix.
The matrix, what is
use-
allowed.
I see, okay.
And I didn't see that reference. I don't have it in front of me, but I think that's where part of the confusion
What's
originated.
stapled to the letter are the particular zoning,
But not
it's
the- but not
included
the
in the
table.
package that's in front
And
of.
I
Is
see
the
the
use
use table.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
Table.
Okay, I attached to it
Yeah, you gotta move.
these particular references. So that it would be clear, you know, looking at what is in our zoning ordinance and why I think that this was an error. And that it shouldn't have happened, but it did. Now, what are we gonna do to fix it?
My understanding, Bill, is that be it an error or not, and I agree with you that it was an error. And I have other problems with it, with the way it happened. In that it was not included on my understanding is that this was not included in the planning, in the select board's agenda. It just kind of happened, which meant that if people paid attention, they didn't get a notice of it ahead of time. There was no public, unless you really go and look for it and everything else, but that's beside the point.
But you're saying as an abutter, you were not notified?
Nor was he, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
All of which says this is something that must be fixed.
Yes.
So forget everything else. I agree with you, the select board, the way it was done was bad. But that's beside the point. We must fix it.
Yeah, that's.
I have no problem with saying we have a problem that you did this. We disagree with doing this. I agree with you, but we must fix this.
That's what I'm saying is that the next on our agenda is that part of our addressing what we need to do with respect to zoning ordinance amendment.
Yes,
We
must
need
be
to
done.
strengthen this so that it cannot happen again,
Yes,
because it would be a disservice to the town and a discredit to the planning board if we allowed it to go on.
correct. Regardless of this,
Yeah. And
So
I'm saying,
I
okay,
agree.
look, this is now a history.
this must be number one. In my view.
Okay, good. You've expressed your opinion. Are there any other comments? Would you, then as a board, would we like to go forward would you like me to sign this letter and send it to the select board? That is, what I would do is give it to Mark and ask Mark to put it on the agenda of the next select board meeting. and to have them understand that the planning board does not like what they did. And I've asked them to do two specific things. And then we get on with the problem of addressing how we're gonna fix this particular ordinance.
Right.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that we have Bill sign this as chair. Number one. And number two, that we fix the issue which now clearly exists. Whether it existed before, there is now precedent for it, which is what I've been told. And since there is precedent, opens this wide open.
I don't follow the motion. Can you make them two separate motions? Let's start with one.
Okay, so let's start with one. Open, excuse me. Motion number one is to have Bill sign this letter to the select board as planning board chair.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any dissent?
Okay.
That's passed.
Rich, do you have dissent? Or
You guys are
you-
talking over there. We're trying to pass a motion.
Or are you?
Yes,
recusing?
so I was just, I'm sorry, a question from a board member about exactly what.
Okay, do you want us to review what's at hand and did you vote?
Or do you?
I'm
recuse?
going to abstain from voting on this for the obvious reason. I think the important thing now is you've registered your objection to what was done, but the more important thing now is to decide what the planning board would like to do going forward. To me, there are three
Okay,
options.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yep.
And the motion
I
is,
abstain.
you abstain. Margaret, did you vote?
No,
Are you abstaining or are you voting?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, are there any other objections? Then,
So, did you do like five?
or do you want us to do a roll call?
But you could have a discussion.
It's 5-0 to abstain.
There was no discussion. Did you want?
Well, there was some, but,
There was some.
okay, so now we have another matter.
All right, this is the hard one to say. I move that the planning board make as a priority that we fix our zoning regulations to avoid a recurrence of the definition of
I will.
fence and wall.
Seconded. Did you get it?
Is there a discussion? Any discussion? Rich?
So that was one of the issues in front of the select board. I know one select board member have struggling with this because of the lack of a definition of wall. The issue with that is that our zoning ordinance, like I think most, I don't know, zoning ordinances in New Hampshire uses common use language for things that are obvious, like walls and fences. Otherwise, you'll end up not with whatever it is, 50 pages or 40 pages.
The
but
ordinance, you mean?
a huge ordinance. So in this case, you could try to define wall as a way to fix this. In the zoning ordinance itself, it uses the formulation in every one of our zoning districts. Fences, walls, and retaining walls. We make the distinction. I don't think we necessarily need to define a wall. I think we have to go to structure, Article 3.
Yes, that's the first one here.
Item, definition 100,
That's
definition.
the one, yep.
If you look at structure. The quick fix, to my mind, would be, and this is where the debate centered. At the select board, is the phrase that says, but not limited to, if everyone's looking at it. Buildings, walls, comma, fences more than 3 feet high, comma, etc. You could, in this case. Instead of trying to define walls, simply put walls, parentheses, of any height. That would potentially fix it, or you can go the other direction and get rid of the comma and say walls and fences more than 3 feet high. If you wanted to agree with the select. board.
Okay.
I agree that there are different ways of doing it. What I'm saying is we make a priority that we come up with a specific way of.
It'd be a zoning amendment.
Yes, that's
Okay,
So-
may I remind
We have to
you,
we have to define the zoning amendment, write it and have it ready for next March.
Yeah.
okay, Mike, time out.
Yeah.
I'm reminding you that there's a motion on the floor. It has been seconded.
But, yes, Mr. Chair, but you can have a discussion before you have a vote on the
Okay,
motion.
but we're going off in the.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry, I thought we were on.
all I'm trying to do is say, we have a priority, it is to fix this particular zoning ordinance. And that, I'd
Okay.
like,
I'm
I'd
sorry.
like the board to say, yes, we have a priority and we want to fix it.
Could-
Then we can dwell on
Not in this.
how we're gonna fix
All right,
it. and
I
when.
misunderstood the motion. Could someone repeat it?
Can't repeat off the top of my head.
What I think I said, all right,
Yeah.
is that. There is an issue regarding the definitions of wall and fence and structures.
Right.
And that we make a priority to,
Change.
The motion.
What
The
is
motion is basically to define wall and fence.
right,
And that's what I was talking about.
Right.
Yes,
I was arguing against
we
I,
didn't need to
That motion.
define them because
I
there's common
accept.
definition.
the common
I,
definitions, and there's a way to fix this without going down that very excruciating
okay,
path.
Regardless
Okay.
of how we fix it, it is always a zoning amendment.
So, yeah, we could amend the motion. I mean, I could make I could make a motion to
go ahead.
amend the motion to say that the planning board will address this issue when it takes up zoning amendments later this year in an effort to fix, if you want to use that word. Clarify,
Mhm.
thank you, much better word. What the intent of the zoning ordinance is with regard to walls.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what I would amend the
Okay.
motion to.
I like Jordan's motion.
Morgan.
Can you say that again?
Morgan, but
Morgan, I'm.
sorry. I mean, it was,
I know,
I was just
I was just
repeating
talking
what, like summarizing what he said was to define wall and fence. And Rich is saying there's common use that we use in order to determine these definitions already. However, we can fix it by using just changing a few words or adding a few words as opposed to a full definition.
That's why I thought it was simple, succinct, and actionable, right? So.
okay,
So we haven't, well, so I think you need to vote on the amendment either up or down and then vote on the.
So the-
Richard, was yours a motion?
No.
The original motion. Okay,
Do the original,
so back to my. And then the amendment.
right. So if you vote against the original motion, you're
Yes.
gonna vote, you should be voting for the amendment,
Potentially, yes.
potentially, or you vote against
Or you
everything.
vote
You're gonna vote against everything.
time out, that's confusing. Mark, you have a comment? No.
So Rich did not make an official motion, which is, I think, your question, Alicia.
I
It
did.
wasn't an official.
It
motion.
is an official motion.
Someone has a second.
Yes.
Yes, it is, because I responded to the motion.
Okay, Margaret, can you help us?
I'm a little bit lost. Did
Yeah, we're all lost.
the planning board vote to send this letter to the
Yes.
select
Yes.
board?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's when you abstain.
That's done.
That's done.
Correct.
All
Now,
right.
Now we're dealing
But
with,
action.
there's another motion on
There's a
the,
motion for Mike. The.
we define walls,
We define. what-
right, and there's an amendment from
Amendment
Rich
to
that
that,
says,
the motion from
just
Rich.
to clarify it without
Clear.
necessarily defining.
All right.
so now I'm asking, is the amendment accepted?
Is
We'll
there-
second it.
Is, Margaret
Margaret
seconds the
seconded.
amendment.
Of Richard's amendment.
Yes.
Are we now all, please vote on the acceptance of the amendment?
Well,
Read the
We
amendment.
have to vote on Mike's
No.
first, right?
No.
You vote on. it.
Mm.
Okay.
You wrote on the
Or the
amendment
Vote on
first.
the amendment.
The amendment.
All right.
first.
And somebody read the amendment?
Then,
So I will, I'll try to state it again
can
succinctly.
we just say like clarifying definitions in the zoning ordinance? Just as an overall umbrella? Or do you want it for this specific situation? That would be mine for less confusion, and then it doesn't tie you to just amending that one definition. You can take a look at all of them.
I like that.
Too much?
Sorry,
Okay.
I like it. Because there's three different things on here, structure, fence and walls.
Right, instead of.
So-
Trying to pinpoint.
That's what I'm worried about, is going down a
Okay.
path where you open it up to, okay, if you define a wall, then Once you
Right.
define a fence. and then
Structure
define
is,
retaining.
everything that we're talking about is under structure,
Right.
so it would just be structure, really. And then if we wanted to define wall and fence, that would be an additional definition.
Yes, but the wall, as I was trying to point out, wall, fences, walls and retaining walls as a phrase that's within every zoning ordinance, so
Yep.
once you define it, you're gonna impact
All of them.
Every one of them.
all that, which
All the
the impact, I think, would be the same for everything, because we're talking, because all of those, that phrase is in the discussion of setbacks in all the zoning districts.
Okay.
The, what's allowed in the setback in terms of distance differs. But
Okay.
that's the phrase that's used when discussing setback, so. The intent of my amendment was simply to get a easy fix. And not start getting into walls, and then what is a fence, then what is a retaining wall?
Yep.
Cause you get, we could stop that, we don't have to go down that path, but I fear that.
Once
That's
we
where
do
the
that.
discussion will take you, and potentially in town meeting as well.
Okay, there's an amendment on the floor to address,
By clarifying the language and structure. With regard to wall,
Not the definition.
not the definitions. Well, it's the definition of structure and wall contained therein.
therein. Okay, Rick has a comment.
We need to have a motion to do work. I mean, I feel like this is, we know we need to do something.
Which
Good
We
question.
don't know exactly how we wanna handle it right now. We have two separate sort of ideas about what we could do. Why do
Yes,
we need a motion to?
You don't have to do it. You don't.
well, but because it pertains to this complaint to the select board. What I wanted to do is simply say to the select board that you did this, I think it was a mistake. And you put the planning board in the position where it has to address this.
We said we're gonna do that.
Yes.
Okay, fine, that was my point of view. My point of view
We
was
said
that,
we're gonna do this, we all agree with you. Letter goes out.
okay, but the letter goes out and then what has to be done is to fix the ordinance.
So you'll do that during your regular zoning amendments.
So amendment's not
Okay.
needed,
Or the motion.
Motions.
motion's not needed, so.
So.
No, I withdraw my amendment.
Withdraw it.
And then I'll withdraw my.
Okay.
So
and
All the
just leave it out.
confusion.
So just
and
cross
then
it all out.
It all goes away, we
Never
withdraw.
happened.
Great choice.
Good use of
And
it.
Alicia is smiling. All of it. All right, and we're gonna deal with it.
We will continue this discussion
We just
later.
don't have a motion. John has a comment.
I'm not sore for holding it up.
And then, well, hey, there's an important business going on. here.
So my question was gonna be the same as Rick's or the answer, but the question was that you stated earlier to put it on the agenda so we can then discuss it,
Mhm.
rather than discussing it now.
Yeah, it's not part of the agenda right now because it's 11 o'clock. We intended to do the action plan. We did it. But this matter was my judgment, it was urgent.
So the letter has passed to go forward
And
and
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
happen.
be on the agenda for the next.
And then we will simply put this matter on the agenda for the next meeting.
And we'll discuss it
That,
then.
we'll figure out what to do then.
You could do it there, Mr. Chair, but if we have a site plan application. that
Oh,
may
yeah,
need
that'll be a busy
uploaded.
meeting.
I would recommend that we just put it on our priority list as a zoning amendment that we need to look at, whether we look at it next meeting or whenever we decide to take up zoning amendments.
It'll be, but we will have quite a few of them if the state passes these laws.
Right, this will be
Yeah.
one of them,
And we can't,
address the issue of clarity of definition of structures,
Yeah.
something like that.
we can't make it any faster. That is, we can't do.
Yeah, it's gonna wait.
A repair job
That's
on
right.
this particular amendment until, we've discussed it and there's a warrant and a town meeting. It's
Right.
only after the voters approve it that we have a fixed
Right.
ordinance.
Sometime this
It's
summer.
been noted.
This fall, when we get to the many zoning amendments we may have to do, this will be one of them.
Okay, do we have any more business? Do I hear a motion?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
You seconded?
Did you want?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
That was
Rich?
It was something we needed to do, like you said, like every year, you know, it
Oh,
should
this,
be our
the immaculate.
cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
Very worth it.
Everybody gets on
Uh,
the same
what a pain
page,
in the-
everybody.